Hi there and welcome to video 5. This is a tutorial on the quadratic formula. Again, these videos are for students who previously sat the foundation papers who are looking to sit the higher paper AQA Unit 3, but it could apply to other exam boards as well. So in this video, I'm going to show you the quadratic formula, how to use it in a really simple way. I'd like you to make sure you've got a revision card at the end of this video and move straight on to video 6, the past paper questions that have come up in the AQA Unit 3 about the quadratic formula. Okay, let's take a look. Now, if you are trying to solve quadratic equations, if you're trying to solve quadratic equations of the following form, ax squared plus bx plus c is 0, then this, what looks like a very complicated formula, will work out the two answers for you. Just to make it clear, what's a quadratic equation? Well, a quadratic equation has x squareds in it. It's got some number of x squareds. Let's say maybe it has 2x squareds. It's got some x's in it. Maybe it's got something like minus 3 x's. And it's also got a number. So it's got a number like, say, plus 10. And if you've got a quadratic equation, so you've got x squareds, x's, and numbers, and an equal sign, then you've got a quadratic equation. If that quadratic is equal to 0, then you can use this formula to work out what x must be. Now, this formula is got a's, b's, and c's in it. The a is the number in front of the x squared, the coefficient of x squared. So in our example here, a is 2. The number in front of our x is called b. So b here must be negative 3. So b in the example above is negative 3. And c is the number at the end, and in this case c is 10. So c is 10. If you substitute the a, b, and c as those numbers into that formula, you will get two answers for x, and they are your two solutions to your quadratic equation. So on your revision card, you should have this general formula down here, explain what a, b, and c are, and also explain to yourself further that in order to use it, the quadratic has to equal 0. What is a quadratic equation? Well, it's got some number of x squareds in it, some x's, and some numbers. Okay, so I'm going to do 5 examples here to show you every possible case that could really come up with a quadratic formula. Follow my examples. Please do exactly as I say. The biggest stumbling block for most students with this type of question is they can't type into the calculator, or they can't substitute correctly into the calculator. So I'm giving you a step-by-step process to get your correct x's and show you what this formula actually means. Okay, here's example 1. It says solve to 2 decimal places the following. Now in an exam, the fact that it tells you 2 decimal places, that alerts you to the quadratic formula might be at play, because otherwise sometimes we can solve quadratics by factorising, which I've done other videos on, so I urge you to go and look at those. But for now, 2 decimal places makes you think quadratic formula. Also, we've got a quadratic equation. Okay, we've got some x's, we've got some x squared, some x's, and a number, and equal to 0. Step 1, write out very clearly what your a, b, and c are. Your a is 3, your b is 5, and your c is 1. Okay, and then I'm just going to go back to the previous page here. Your quadratic formula is given to you in the exam, and your quadratic formula is given to you. That is how it is in your exam. So the first thing you do, I don't want you to try and type in the calculator straight away. You work out this component of the quadratic formula first. It makes life very, very easy if you do it that way. So you work out b squared minus 4ac. b squared is 5 squared minus 4 in brackets, a is 3 and c is 1. Okay, and that's 25 subtract Well, minus 4 times 3 is 12, times 1 is 12. So you get 25, take away 12, which is 13. And then square root it. So work out the square root of b squared minus 4ac, which is therefore the square root of 13. Just leave it like that for now. Now we can substitute straight into the quadratic formula in a much easier way. There are two answers for x. Now you'd have more space here. I'd like you to do it down the page, but I'm running out of space. My x is, it's negative of whatever value b is. So it's negative 5. I'm going to do the plus one first. So there's two answers. Plus, and I've worked this all out. The square root of 13, all divided by 2a, which is 2 times 3, which is 6. And the other answer is x is negative 5. And this time I'm going to take the minus 1. There's a minus in there. Minus the square root of 13 divided by 6. And I work those two things out on my calculator and I round appropriately. People not that skilled on the calculator, the best way to do it is to type negative 5 plus square root 13 equals divided by 6 equals, and press the SD or change button on your calculator to give you the decimal. For this one here you get minus 0.23, and for this one here you type negative 5 minus root 13 equals divided by 6 equals, and you get yourself minus 1.43. And they are your two answers to the quadratic equation above. Okay, nice and straightforward. Okay, I'm going to do another example next. Maybe you find this one easy and you think you could do it yourself. If not, just watch how I do it, because there's another little trick in here that I want to show you. So here we've got a quadratic equation equals 0. It's of the form we want here. Well, what is a? What is the number in front of the x squared? Well, actually there's a hidden 1. So a is 1. B is the number in front of x, so b is 7, and c is the number part, which is 3. Here's our quadratic equation from the formula booklet. Instead of typing it all in one go, I'm going to work out b squared minus 4ac. So b squared minus 4ac is 7 squared minus 4 times 1 times c, which is 3. And we work that out. That's 49 minus, well, 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 3 is 12, so 49 minus 12, which is 37. And then you just square root it. You work out the square root of b squared minus 4ac, which is this thing here, which is root 37. Okay, now I go ahead and I work out my two solutions. Well, on the one hand, x is, well, negative b, so minus 7. I'm going to take the plus square root, plus square root 37, all divided by 2a, which is 2. And x is minus 7 minus square root 37, all divided by 2. Okay, and I tap those in my calculator, but this time I'm rounding to 1 dp. So again, I would type negative 7 plus square root 37 equals divided by 2, and use the SD or change button to work out the decimal. Rounded to 1 dp, I get 0.5. And the next one, negative 7 minus root 37 divided by 2, I would get minus 6.5. And they are my two answers. What was the key learning point here? Well, in this case, x squared plus 7x plus 3, the number in front of the x squared, the coefficient of x squared, is actually a 1. So don't think it's 0 or anything like that. A is 1. Okay, I'm going to show you another example now. Either pause me and try and do it yourself, or watch what I do here, because there's another difference I want to show you. Now here, we've got another quadratic equation that we want to solve to 1 dp. The decimal place makes us think quadratic formula, and the fact we've got x squared, x's, etc., we think quadratic equation, and it's equals 0. First step, label your A, B, and C. A is 7. B, well, the number in front of x, there's a hidden 1 there. It's actually 1. And C, be very careful here. C is negative 3. Do not think it's 3, it's negative 3. Okay, we're going to use the quadratic formula again that's given to us in our formula booklet. The quadratic formula is here. Okay, and let's work out the b squared minus 4ac as always. So b squared minus 4ac. B squared, 1 squared minus 4 times 7 times negative 3. That's very important to get the signs right. Well, 1 squared is 1. Okay, minus 4 times 7 is 28, and 28 times negative 3 is negative 84. So you get 1 minus negative 84, and these two become a plus, so that I get 1 plus 84, which is 85. And I work out the square root of b squared minus 4ac, which is square root 85. Okay, and now I just go on and substitute it into the quadratic formula. So on the one hand, x is negative b, negative 1, plus the square root of 85, all divided by 2a's, which is 14, or x is minus b minus the square root of 85, all divided by 2a, which is 14. And I'll work those out on my calculator to one decimal place. See if you can get those before I do it. I would type minus 1 plus root 85 equals divided by 14. And to one decimal place I would get 0.6. And on the other hand, minus 1 minus root 85 divided by 14. And I would get negative 0.7 to one decimal place. Okay, next example, example 4. Maybe before you launch ahead on this, there's a particular reason why I show you this one, just in case it came up in the exam. We've got a quadratic equation. It's got x squared, x's numbers, and an equal sign. However, it's not equal to 0. To use the quadratic formula and to solve a quadratic, you must make one side equal 0, where one side is equal to 10. So I'm going to subtract 10 off both sides to make one side 0, so I get x squared plus 7x minus 7 equals 0. Okay, so now I've got a quadratic equation of the right form. It equals 0. A is the number in front of x squared, which is 1. B is 7. And C is negative 7. Very important you do this here. If you don't make one side equal 0, nothing will work. And now you just go ahead the usual way and work it out using the quadratic formula given to you in the formula booklet. So you work out b squared minus 4ac. b squared minus 4ac is 7 squared minus 4 times 1 times minus 7. Okay, 7 squared is 49. Subtract. 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 times negative 7 is negative 28. So two minuses touch in together become a plus, so 49 plus 28 is 77. And you work out the square root of that. B squared minus 4ac square root is root 77. Okay, and then you do the usual, work out our two answers. Well, on the one hand, x is negative b, which is negative 7, plus root 77, all divided by 2a, which is 2, or x is minus 7 minus root 77, all over 2. And you work those out to one decimal place on your calculator. Have a go, see if you can do it yourself. I would type minus 7 plus root 77 equals, divided by 2, and to 1 dp that's 0.9. And the other one would be minus 7 minus root 77 divided by 2, and I would get minus 7.9, so minus 7.9 to 1 dp. Okay, last example here. I've put this in for a very particular reason in case it comes up. I've got a quadratic equation, x squared, x is in a number, and it's equal 0, so nothing complicated there. Start off by writing what your a, b, and c are. A is 7, b is a hidden 1, and c is 3. Okay, now we're going to work out b squared minus 4ac. b squared minus 4ac is 1 squared minus 4 times 7 times 3. 1 squared is 1, minus 4 times 7 is 28, times the 3 is 84. So I get 1, subtract 84, which is negative 83. And I take the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and I type in my calculator square root minus 83. And when I do that, I get an error. Okay, it says maths error. I can't do maths error. Okay, and this is quite important. If you were to study maths further, you will actually find there are solutions to this quadratic equation. But for our purposes, for GCSE, you can't take the square root, for now, can't square root a negative number. Okay, you can't take the square root of a negative number, so you can't take away square root of minus 83. So there are no solutions to the above. There are no solutions to the above using the quadratic equation. Okay, so that's an important point. That has come up in 1 year. It asks you why you couldn't get an answer to this quadratic equation, and it's because you can't take the square of a negative number, and so there are no solutions. Technically there are, but that's later on if you do A-level, but for now that's enough for GCSE. Okay, I hope you found the following video useful to help you understand how to successfully solve quadratic formula questions. Make sure you've got some revision cards with the examples, but the key thing is the formula is given to you in the formula booklet. The best way to do it is work out b squared minus 4ac, substituting very carefully, and always label your A, B and C and get them right. So now I would suggest you move straight on to the video on the past paper questions that have come up on the quadratic equation to check your understanding. Thank you for listening.